If you've been playing Dead by Daylight over the past week, you've probably been playing or have played the newest LTM or limited time game mode known as Chaos Shuffle. Chaos Shuffle is Dead by Daylight's third and newest LTM after My Little Oni and the first one being Lights Out. Unfortunately, I've been seeing on many different places either killers or survivors being toxic, bringing the best possible things, slugging, camping, tunneling, and I don't understand why it's happening. I guess killers on their part feel more pressured without their slowdown, and survivors end up getting tunneled or camped because of this without DS. To begin with, I don't usually camp or tunnel unless I have like one gen left, maybe two, and I'm in danger of not even getting a single kill. And sometimes when I'm playing my nearly P100 Ada, I have over 200 insta heals and styptics, and maybe I have a rough game, my last solo queue game. But even though I have all these, I'm not bringing them absolutely every game, and I think it makes less sense to bring them in Chaos Shuffle than it does in base game, or at least it feels like it's more unfair to bring it in Chaos Shuffle. Personally, I'm of the opinion that survivors are stronger in Chaos Shuffle than they are in the normal game, so I think bringing stuff like a medkit with those add-ons is just a bit overkill, and it probably invites a toxic or sweaty environment. Throughout this event, I've been trying to play as nice as possible on killer, going for as many hooks before a survivor dies, and not really camping or tunneling. And actually, in my latest video, at the end, I even let all 4 people escape after hitting a nice orbital, in my opinion, and giving them a slug race. I guess letting 4 people out in an LTM makes me a smurf. It's actually over for me. But I've been relatively lucky in this event. I've been playing quite often, and only playing Chaos Shuffle since it's been released. And I haven't gotten anyone using insta-heals, styptics. I've barely seen more than one Commodious each game, if even one, so I'm thankful for my experience with that. Until last night when I actually got 2 insta-heals and a map offering while I was playing Pyramid Head. Now I won't lie, I've been trying to main Pyramid Head for about a month now, after going through a gauntlet to try to determine who I want to main as killer in this game. So I'm not the newest Pyramid Head player, but this game I did perform particularly bad against this Jake, who managed to run me for a gen or 2 at the start of the game, which immediately puts me into a mindset where I know I needed lots of pressure or I wasn't going to win this. I wasn't even going to get a 2k. Anyway, as good as Jake is at running me, he is actually not one of the 2 survivors in question who brought an insta-heal or the map offering. It would actually be Vittorio and Steve. Vittorio being the first one who used his insta-heal, and Steve is the one talking to me in endgame, telling me all these strange things. Now before we continue, we should probably discuss briefly if it's really considered toxic to bring something like an insta-heal, a styptic, or a Commodious with best in slot add-ons in an LTM like this. My response to that is if you consider a killer or survivor bringing a strongly unbalanced map offering, such as how Garden of Joy was, or how Area of Crows was, or the potential 5-gen that can spawn on the newest map, or how you can cut the map in half on Backwater Swamp and only have 1 gen on 1/2 of the entire map on average. If you consider a survivor or killer player bringing the 5 of you to that map for such purposes to be incentivizing a negative gameplay environment, then I think you would agree with me that bringing the strongest possible things you can bring in an LTM like this is a bit unencouraging, at the least. And if you don't find any of those things the least bit unsportsmanlike, you'll probably at the very least be unsurprised when the party suffering from those scenarios chooses to play as strongly as possible. Which is exactly what I did here, which is probably why the Steve Harrington was at least a little unhappy by the end of the game. Or maybe he just really hates Pyramid Head players. I'm not sure. But this isn't supposed to be a discussion on the nature of bringing strong stuff into Dead by Daylight. The whole point of the video is Steve's reaction at the end of the game, so let's simply get into it. So the chase with the Jake finally ends, and I'm immediately onto Victoria as he tried to pallet save, and as we get to this first pallet here that Jake had previously thrown, I can immediately tell Vittorio's not as strong as Jake was because he actually vaults it in front of me, giving me the first free hit. I'm briefly stunned as he pops his insta-heal in Chaos Shuffle, and I know that is one of the 8 egregious sins of hell that no one should ever commit. So, anyway, as a Pyramid Head, I know if you just hold W against him and don't really try to loop things, it'll mean it'll be very easy for him to run me for the 16 seconds of the insta-heal timer. Possibly faster if he has a perk like Bonnie Knowledge. And so of course he does get it off, and that combined with the already great chase Jake had against me leaves me feeling a bit more than pressured at this point in the game, so I'm already thinking, alright, I'll just send him to a cage and then camp him until he gets unhooked and then insta-down him if he does get unhooked. Because when you are hooked in Pyramid Head's cages, you do not actually get the 10-second PT nor the 10-second haste. However, he gets unhooked right before I get there, but it does not take me long to hit a relatively lucky shot on him through the wall with my M2, and Steve himself even gives me an injury, which, as we're going to see shortly, will be very important. Bill takes a hit, but Steve, being injured and knowing Vittorio does not wiggle off with just 2 hits, does not take the down, and I manage to hook Vittorio. After that, I get a relatively lucky hit on Steve through some crates and down him. Now, this is a very bad position for the survivors overall. They have 1 survivor hooked, 1 survivor down near the hook, and both of them are injured. The way to play this is for the 2 to reset, and then both come in to save each of the 2 survivors. This, however, does not happen, and Vittorio actually lets go, and I give him a nice little slap to send him off. I managed to get Steve hooked in basement, especially with agitation, and I will admit I'm not the newest person when it comes to camping basement. I've done it before, will probably have to do it again, and I've had this exact strategy done against me when I was playing Survivor myself. I know exactly how this works. Steve manages to unhook himself, and all I do is stand on the stairs and body block him from escaping for 10 seconds. There's nothing he can do, and he goes back down and will end up dying in basement. Now, if you're wondering where Steve's insta-heal went, so was I. I went back and watched, and it seems that he used it right before I hooked Vittorio for the 2nd time, but after I had picked him up. This down right here was actually very important because it seems he was probably pretty close to healing himself up from his insta-heal. It actually seems like Steve tried to use it here. Perhaps his insta-heal button, whatever that might be, was also bound to his number 2 button as he did the come here gesture, but didn't get it off before I injured him. Anyway, the other 2 survivors leave without making me watch them leave, thankfully, which leads to this very colorful endgame chat, and I already anticipate someone's going to complain, so I start typing my message before the rift overlay goes away, but Steve beats me to it, and I'll just let this play out. What do we have here? He's bro. Oh wow, 2 insta-heals. That's amazing. You must be garbage. Holy shit, I didn't even realize it was 2 insta-heals. Steve never used his. No. You are cringe. Why are you so desperate? It's so funny. To me, why you brought it. Hey, what? Therapy. Bye. Not playing this game.